Hey there, it's Millen, host of Spy-Fi After Dark. Before I start the episode, I just wanted to make a quick announcement. I've actually started a vlog on YouTube. You can find it by searching Spy-Fi Vlog on YouTube, obviously. Once I hit 100 subscribers, I can actually take the youtube.com/spyfi link, which I'd really love to do. So if you would like to be a part of that and help me get to that 100 so I can get that link and don't have to just tell people to search for it, that would be really much appreciated. The vlog is kind of like a behind-the-scenes look into building this Spy-Fi vision that I have, that of course started here with Spy-Fi After Dark, the podcast, as well as a look into my personal life and some of the thoughts I have throughout the week. It is kind of experimental right now, but I did actually put a lot of time into editing the video, and honestly, I think it turned out pretty well. Anyways, that's all from me, so let's get to the episode. You're listening to the Spy-Fi After Dark podcast. Welcome back to Spy-Fi After Dark. I'm joined by my co-host, as always.
What's going on, guys?
Alex. And then our guest today is Ben Ruiz.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
He is a veteran of the game design industry, almost 15 years. Almost all of that as an independent developer, right?
Correct. Yep.
So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Thank you.
Most indies don't last that. Most game developers don't last that long. Period.
It's very true. Yeah.
And most indies almost never last that long.
Yeah.
So I wanted to maybe start with a little bit about your last project, Aztez.
Mm-hmm.
That came out in 2017. Correct?
Yes. Yep.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that project was like? I know you were working on it for like 5 years or something, 6 years?
Yeah. So full-time development of Aztez was about 5 years. We started at the beginning of 2012. So what is that? Maybe 6 years, actually, 5.5. But I was actually working on Aztez by myself for a couple years before that, actually. Like, I had prototyped some very simple things. I had started to build art assets and as ways to help me discover what it was, you know. And then so all told, I was on Aztez for about 8 or 9 years, actually. And you know, that those first few years where I was doing concept work I was also on other things, but yeah, Aztez was a big part of my life for quite a long time. Yeah.
But so you were full-time for a full 6 years?
Yeah, full-time for 5.5, 6 years. Yeah, it's all kind of blurring together, but it was at least 5 years for sure.
Wow.
It was me and one other developer. I was the artist and the designer. His name's Matthew Wegner. He was actually my old boss at Flashbang Studios. And we'd already been friends for a really long time, but things happened and that group of people kind of all went their separate ways. And when it was all said and done, it was him and I sitting there. I had this prototype and he decided to help me with it. So yeah, it was him and I for all that time.
So what did he do in that process?
So he was he was a sole engineer. He was the only programmer. And he would say this too, his core responsibility was making tools for me. And so, because I don't actually program. I don't know. I mean, I lightly understand what happens when people program, but I myself do not do it. And so he was creating tools for me that I would use to implement attacks, attack reactions, build levels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, we had a relationship where he was basically enabling me to do design.
And was he working full-time as well?
He was working, it kind of shifted. You know, he'd have phases where he'd be on it full time. He'd build a couple really important things for me. I'd sort of be gassed up for a couple months of work, and then he would pursue contract work. So he would float in and out, but I would say that like mentally and creatively, he was as much full time as I was. Yeah.
Okay.
And the contract work was to sustain himself.
Of course. That's what a lot of indies do.
Exactly. Yeah. Very common.
What's kind of the origin of this project for you? Like what inspired you?
A couple things.
Can you pull it just a little closer?
Yep. So my favorite games have always been beat 'em ups, third person action games, 2D action games. I don't care if you have tiny characters beating each other up, I'm into it, and that has also bled into fighting games and stuff. I mean,
I'm a '90s kid, so
yeah,
you're speaking to me.
right, yep. And so, you know, I've always been deeply in love with animation, and that has a lot to do with the love of these kind of games because they're so character heavy, they're so world heavy, they're so, you know, the little Disney and anime kid inside of me just has always loved these types of games, and so I knew I wanted to make one of these things. I also knew that I was deeply in love with the Mesoamerican civilizations, so they got smashed together one day during a game jam. And that was really the birth of it. It's like I knew a beat 'em up was in the pipe, and the Mesoamerican thing just happened to be that day's fun, happy, inspiring thought. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Was that your first project of that genre?
It was, yeah. And
Oh,
I'd been waiting for so long to actually to put it on the table of whatever organization I was at. The problem is that they're very, very production heavy. They require a lot of animation. They require a lot of environment work, etc. When you're at a small team of 5 to 6 people, the way Flashbang was, we were making small projects that we could all complete in a couple months to 6 months, stuff like that. It would not have been practical to put an action game on the table, so I just never did. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, and so it happened to work out that the rest of those guys went on to pursue other things, and then it was just us two sitting there like, we can do something. It kind of can be anything, and that's when I saw my opportunity.
Okay. And I know you had an investor early on. Can you tell me a little bit about how that process worked?
Yeah, so I don't think it's a problem that I would mention their name, but I won't just to be safe. But it was actually just a mutual friend, and so Matthew and I had been going to the Game Developers Conference every year for years and years and years already. We were fortunate enough to meet other indie game developers from around the world and just rub up against cool people. And this particular mutual friend of ours had done very, very, very well on his previous project, and just as a passion project of his, he was investing in other indie games. So we asked for some cash and we got it. We were just very fortunate to kind of be standing there when this person was looking to empower other people. So we lucked out.
Is this person by chance related to the whole Indie Fund thing?
They were one of the members of Indie Fund, yeah.
Okay.
But this was not through Indie Fund because at the time, Matthew was also a part of Indie Fund.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So in terms of conflict of interest, that didn't make any sense. But
course, yeah.
This other person said, "I'll take care of this personally. Let me help you out."
So for context for the audience, Indie Fund, you can look it up on Google, but it's a small group of successful indie game developers,
Yeah.
right? Who have basically come together to form an investment group for other indie projects that they think are worth investing in.
Yep, that's 100% correct. And they've mutated in some interesting ways over the years. They do still exist now, just in a very different form. It became a little bit more of a community instead of like a core group of individuals. It made sense to just continue letting people who were wanting to invest in games to do so. So it mutated into a larger thing, and then some groups split off because they had particular interest in other games. But yeah, Indie Fund is still there, last I checked.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
in a
I mean, I
different
haven't
form.
looked into them in a while, but
Yeah.
I know they were funding a number of projects when I
Yeah.
was looking into them.
Yeah, they've been involved in a few very, very meaningful cultural projects for sure. Fez,
Cube, I think.
Cube, yeah, they made some good decisions while they were still that original core group for sure.
So I imagine that the investment you got didn't last you the whole 6 years.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
We asked for more money a few times, and then a few other people got involved, and we just I mean, it was such a low amount of money at the end of the day because Matthew was sustaining himself for the most part. I was not paying myself a lot. We went very, very far on very little money. So when it came time to say, we'd love to spend another year on this, can we do this? The people supporting us said, yeah, that's not a problem because this is such a low overhead situation.
So was the game ultimately successful?
No. So Aztez was a sort of widely publicized failure. And that's actually, in retrospect, The widely publicized aspect is actually kind of my fault. Something kind of backfired in my face. So the day that the game came out, which was only on Steam, our plan was to release it on consoles.
Yeah, I just looked online and it said that like it was available for a wide array of consoles.
Well, so that was the plan.
The plan, okay.
And what's funny, and I'll get to this one thing at a time. So the day came out, it was only on Steam on PC. So did about 40 other games on the same day that we came out. And
these days.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's when, we kind of discovered that like, yeah, well, we waited too long and the market changed. A very, very, very different situation from when we first started making the game in 2012 when someone making an indie game could just mention that they're making an indie game and it was still exciting regardless of the game. Exactly. Yeah. It was a very different game.
Well, if you knew the right people, could get past the right gatekeepers.
Well, but at the time...
That and just probably lack of saturation.
Sure, yeah. And at the time, there weren't any gates because if you were making an indie game, everyone wanted to know about you. And so I didn't even have to ask for publicity in the first couple years of development because there was just not that many indie games being made and they were very popular. And so by the time we were done, and I remember this, I had gone to E3, which happened about 5 months before the game came out. And I should have known at that time that we were in trouble because now all of a sudden I was struggling for attention in a way that I never had before. Like I was having a hard time keeping schedule or I'm sorry, keeping appointments. I had a hard time keeping my plate full, like things were falling off and it was a bad situation that was dramatically different from all the previous years I'd done of marketing. And so I kind of should have known at that point, but anyway, the game comes out, absolutely tanks. And, the thing that I tried to do was there's a local Engadget journalist that lives somewhere in the Phoenix area named Jess. And I said, hey, can you do a story about the failure of this game? In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this could drum up some attention. Matthew and I are going to be very, very candid about the situation. And it just kind of exploded in a bad way with everyone telling us how dumb we were for trying to make a game in this market, which I'm not upset about.
Well, that could have definitely gone two ways.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen similar stories like that where it totally revived.
Exactly.
I think it was still worth it. Definitely.
I think it was still worth it too. Yeah,
I would have taken the chance.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't.
It's actually very interesting.
I don't regret attempting that. And honestly, like it wasn't so much the response from strangers that at the time I cared about. It was other indie game developers saying like, hey, we all knew that the market had changed. Why didn't you, And it's like they were right. But in that moment when that story was sort of melting our Twitter feed, it was like, oh, guys, come on.
it's also hard when your head's down in it and you kind of like lose track of the context.
Right.
So I remember playing some of the beta versions, I think back in 2013, 2014. Right around that time, maybe 2015.
Sure.
And I felt at the time this is very polished.
Sure,
I
yeah,
was like,
thank you.
You could release this.
I appreciate it. It's so I'm really, really happy that you felt that, and that was the feedback from most of the people that had tried the game pretty much at any stage of development. But I've learned that there's a way that I make beat 'em ups, which is to polish from the very start. Like when I'm going to make my very first attack, I make sure that the effects and the feedback and the audio, everything is super solid.
Perfectionist.
Because the core of those mechanics are the feedback. Like that's the secret of those kind of games. And so
it's hard to prototype that because the effects and the juice make up such a
100%
fun component of it.
It's such a huge part of it. You can have the best design beat 'em up in the world, but if it doesn't look and feel good, then no one cares.
Right.
And so what's interesting about what you said is I realized that I was in a very positive feedback loop with most of the people playing the game. And I think that's because of my tendency to early polish. I didn't really ever have a super great perspective on the actual condition of the game. And again, I don't think it came out bad. I don't think it came out misshapen. We made a few big mistakes and that's fine. But, it was just I did not see these things for a long time because I was making this exciting, impactful, feedback-heavy experience that people were like, oh my God, this is cool for 5 minutes. And there wasn't a game yet. But it was distracting. It was almost like a trick I was playing on people with this highly polished prototype.
Well, obviously, obviously I wasn't there, and I can only comment from an outside perspective, but did you ever consider maybe releasing earlier with like just cutting back like your number of weapons and releasing them after the game came out?
Sure.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I don't think that ever really occurred to us because because of the if you look at like the linear progression of the development over time, we could have released it at any time. Yeah, actually, that's a good question. I don't know why we didn't.
Mm-hmm. It actually, to me, it felt like a really good candidate for like an early access type situation.
So so this I can, and I'm sorry, I'm like searching through the mental Rolodex for memories and insights here. One thing I do remember is that early access and also the idea of a demo was actually really freaky to me because I wanted to make a very, very good first impression. And I also wanted an element of mystery in the marketing. Like I wanted people to look at a piece of footage or to look at a combo video or to look at some type of promotional material and just wonder in a really good way. Like, wow, that looks like a really great beat 'em up. I really want to play it. It's not available yet. Soon. And I was worried about having an early access build available so that people, because I was nervous about people going and playing it and being disappointed because it wasn't all there yet.
Perfectionist.
Absolutely, like compulsive perfectionism for sure.
Yep.
But I do think that's a thing with beat 'em ups. I think you want to avoid some kind of early nugget. Like don't give people the early nugget. Let them ride their own excitement until the time it's done. And then go from there, like with any other game.
Just higher risk.
For sure.
But
so did you suffer any scope creep during the process of development, or were you pretty much just trying to achieve your initial scope?
No. The scope kind of naturally went up over time because of the way that Matthew and I were working together. So he'd give me this incredible update to this fundamental tool that I was using. And then he'd be like, I've got contract work to do. I'm going to be out of the studio for, 5 weeks. It's like, okay, cool. Do your thing. I have plenty to do. I would experience these solo periods, these solo period bursts where I would get so much done just being in the zone and sort of like not having to think about the other person for a moment that I would all of a sudden I've increased the scope of the game on accident because I happened to produce a completely new weapon during those 5 weeks and all of its mechanics. So this thing kept happening on accident, but not necessarily in a mismanagement way. It was like, we're already kind of ahead of schedule on most of our stuff. I happen to have this moment to do whatever I want. Oops, I've made an entire weapon.
From ahead of schedule to behind schedule.
Yeah, all these new enemies, and so no, it was really interesting. Like, and so he'd come back, and then I'd have all this new content done, and then he'd have to catch. So we were kind of in a weird dance where it just never felt done.
So if you were,
that's a bit of what you were saying about scope creep, though.
Yeah,
that happens.
Well, it's ununintentional scope creep, basically.
Right.
But then
I feel like it usually is
it's in a feedback loop.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, and again, I've never worked at a AAA studio. I've never worked on a big team. It does seem like there are a couple different types of scope creep where one of them is mismanagement, right? Like someone is looking at the entire project and being like, we can do this in this much time. And then of course that falls apart and then things happen and then producers add things on top of it. So that is a legitimate form of that. But the other form is also, we're a small team, we can do whatever we want, and now we're accidentally making this thing bigger and more complicated, for sure. Yeah,
Got it.
In that situation, we were definitely doing that to each other for years.
Yeah.
But again, the thing was so cheap that like we also weren't panicking about this.
Yeah,
And I'm sure both of you have a lot of pride in your game.
I absolutely do.
Right?
I absolutely do. And I'm pretty sure Matthew does as well. Yeah, it's like it's anyone who does play it really enjoys it. It's I think part of the big problem we had, apart from the fact that no one really noticed it coming out, was there was a barrier to entry that we failed to address, and that kept a lot of people out, but anyone who got over that was like, oh, this is great. Why isn't everyone playing this? So, but that's our fault. That's completely our fault. That games have set people up now for, we're going to make sure you understand why we're cool in the first 10 minutes, 30 minutes, hour. and we failed to do that for sure.
So if you did have a chance to do it all over again, what are some of the like key choices you would make differently this time around?
I would have. So the Aztez was 2 games glued together, right? It was this technical beat 'em up experience, and also this sort of board game. It was like an empire management game, right? I would have completely thrown out the window most of the overthinking we had done with the board game side of it. Like we iterated on that so many times. We were really striving to get something of a certain quality level, when in reality that was just the potatoes and the beat 'em up was the steak, you know? And so I think that was overcooked in a really, really profound way. I would have made a couple less weapons, made a couple less enemies, spent less time on the board game. I think I would have asked Matthew, if we got to do it over again, hey, don't do contract work. Even though you're making this cheaper for us, let's get this done in 3 years. And that's what I would have done if I could do it all over again. I'd have gotten it done in 3 years, released into that healthier market where we could have gotten away with the 2-person game, and it would have been a completely different release.
Yeah, I mean, I think with what you're saying, you would have been better off even if the market was the same that you released into.
Yeah.
I think it would have probably been an easier experience to get into.
Yeah.
And I also think you probably would have had some more money set aside for marketing.
Yeah.
As well.
Well, and actually, on a team that size, we didn't have any money set aside for marketing. That was really me going and personally promoting, which fortunately was low cost, but it could not have possibly been any cheaper when you're sending one person to LA for a couple days. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that was a bucket of money and we threw too much into it. Like, that was already the barest amount of money we could have possibly spent on like going to a con or going to a thing. The only alternative to that would have been me not going and doing those things, which would have been bad.
Well, I mean, actually in the reverse sense that you would have had more money to do more stuff in terms of marketing.
Yeah. And that's potentially true. You know, it's like it's possible that there's a universe in which we've got this financial buffer in which to throw at professional marketers or to make deals with, use this money on a lawyer to help us make a deal with Microsoft that ensures some kind of promotion, stuff like that. So that's very possible. But
or maybe consider just branding the two of you on some kind of social media platform.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hindsight,
Yeah. Well, hindsight. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to me, this is all really fascinating.
Sure.
The game industry is very difficult to exist in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And making your own game is exponentially more difficult than that. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you've come out the other side and you haven't quit the industry immediately after, even after a commercial failure.
Sure.
I mean, it says something. It's a little resiliency, you know?
It's probably a little bit resiliency. Thank you for the compliment. I'm personally working on just thanking people for compliments instead of like circumventing. It's also a little bit obsession though, is my point. So I think because I've never released a commercial success ever. Like I've never been on a game that, we've had a few, I guess you could call them like cultural successes. Like we made a game a long time ago called Off-Road Velociraptor Safari. This was with Matthew and the group at Flashbang. The indie game developer community at the time absolutely loved it. It put us on the map in their eyes and hearts. Like, we're the weirdos that made that weird thing. And that was a really incredible moment for us because we had an audience, even if it was our own industry, So we've had a couple of these moments where there's some sort of non-financial success. Still meaningful, but my point is, I've never succeeded. I should have quit a long time ago, but the obsession is the real beating heart of this. Got to keep trying because I literally can't imagine doing something else. So I'd love to take credit for being a tank of a man, but I'm really like a weird parasite that eats games and needs to like make something good come out the other side,
And I think that's something that a lot of people don't even realize is there are a lot of developers who never work on a success.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or just like in Hollywood, there's a lot of people who write movies and none of them are successful.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Or they act in movies and none of them are successful.
Yeah, for sure. And that's definitely one of those things that they do not do a good job of articulating to students or articulating to new members of the industry. It's like statistically, you're not ever going to make a thing that people know about. So welcome to the biz, you know, like,
Yeah.
because if you said something like that, you would automatically be discouraging, you know, and,
Yep.
and that's, it's important to not do that. You need to make sure that, people think that they can succeed so that they will
foster
keep
potential.
trying. Yeah, exactly.
So I know you said that your partner did contracting work during this whole period. Have you ever relied on that as a source of revenue in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. During the few years that, so for the people listening, I met Millen teaching a summer camp program in Phoenix, where I was teaching junior high and high school age students how to use game development software. So during the few years where I was doing that, that was actually mostly contract work time for me, because this was after the time that the Flashbang team had sort of disbanded, but this was before we had asked for the money to produce Aztez. So I want to say that between roughly 2009 to 2012, for that 2 or 3 years, I was almost exclusively doing contract work. Some of it was for Matthew, some of it was for Flashbang, my previous employer, because it's like, I can't put you on a salary. This is only a 2-month project, but I can pay you for this 2 months of work. So yeah, I was contracting for Matthew and for Flashbang. I was doing work for ASU. I'd actually done a couple other things for ASU at the time as well. Like they had some sort of military funded, like a simulation teaching. Oh man, I don't remember what it was. I was on such a short window of time that I was on that. But yes, that whole few years was just all contract work.
Yeah. So because we met summer 2009.
Okay, yep, that sounds right.
And I believe that was just shortly after Flashbang had disbanded.
Yeah.
And then we met again in 2011 summer when I TA'd for the camp that you were teaching.
Okay.
And that was right when you had got funding for Aztez.
In 2011.
Like you were just getting it, like right at that time.
So at the time I was looking for it. Yeah. Okay. So in the summer of 2011, that's when we were still searching for it.
Okay.
Yeah. And at the time we had asked a couple other people. We had considered doing a pitch. We were still exploring our options, but at that time it was definitely the thing that was on my mind the most was, how do we get the funding for this game? It wasn't until the very end of the year that the friend who initially invested finally said yes. Okay. So yeah, so what you experienced was me in my obsession of trying to get, yep, exactly. Yep. Okay. Time to get this money.
Okay. Well, we have a few minutes before the break, so I wanted to give you an opportunity if you have any messages for anyone considering the industry at all.
Yeah, definitely.
And for those who are curious, we will talk about, he's working on a new project. We'll talk a little bit about that after the game segment that we'll do coming up, and a few other things. But
yeah, I would say that if you want to make games cool, make sure you are obsessed with it. Make sure that it's the only thing you think about. Make sure that you badly need to do that and you can't imagine doing something else. It is a very, very difficult industry, and I don't want to discourage anyone, but like movies, like music, it needs to be the thing that you are primarily focused on. And so I would also say, if you can avoid it, try not to get into debt learning to make games. The internet is such a enormous resource at this point in time, and that's been true for a while. Find local developers and ask them questions. Go to IGDA meetings. Like, figure out the thing that you're passionate about, whether it's design, whether it's engineering, whether it's art, and figure these things out without going into debt, so that when you inevitably enter this brutal industry, you can survive it financially. And this has been true for a long time. I am available to anyone wondering even a little bit what it takes to get into the biz and what it takes to find your role in it. So please contact me. I assume you'll make an email available or something.
Sure.
Yeah. So please do.
You can say it now if you want to, but I'll put it in the link.
So yeah, if you want to email me at ben@dinogod.com, I will see that email. I will respond to that email. Ideally, you'll email me and say, hey, can we get on the phone for a few minutes? That will save me the time. I get to be helpful. I get to educate you. I just want to help people get into this thing that they might love very, very much.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with a trivia segment. We're going to do some game industry trivia. Alex versus Ben. I've tried to make it as even as possible, but
Sure.
I have a feeling this one is slanted.
Are there stakes? Like how much money?
The stakes are bragging rights.
Okay. Or are there literal stakes? Like, does one of us get a stake? Like that?
It's not that kind of podcast.
Okay.
It's not one of the murder mystery podcasts.
Right.
You know. All right. We'll see you guys in a minute. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Spy-Fi After Dark. We hope you're enjoying it so far.
If you're loving what we got, share that shit, bitch.
And don't forget to rate and or subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on.
Now back to the episode, bitch.
All right, and we are back. We're going to play a little trivia game. So the way this works is I have prepared some questions. Some of these are multiple choice questions, and with multiple choice questions, we recorded an episode 2 before this one, but this is how I have them work, is if you can guess the answer without seeing the choices, you get 3 points.
Okay,
if you
sure.
need the choices, you get 2 points. And if you really need to just down one or the other, you get 1 point.
Okay, got it.
And then the other ones are fill in the blank style or name as many as you can.
Got it. Cool.
Which is why you have the clipboards.
Yep.
So we'll just get right into it. The first question is a multiple choice question. It is, how many playable characters are there in Street Fighter 4? If you think you know the answer, you can just write it down. If you don't, I will.
Oh, so we're both answering.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's no turns this time. So for context, we recorded an episode earlier that was a blind movie guessing game, but we took turns.
So then, is this Street Fighter 4 at its last piece of content with all characters released?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Oh no.
No. So
now, if you need answers, I'll give them to you. But if he gets it right, he gets 3 points.
Just so my competitor's clear, that was an educated guess. That's not.
That was a
wasn't
very
me.
quick, educated guess. That
It was
provided
fast. I mean, that's
Right.
the thing. Yeah.
I also wrote really hard to
It gives
freak you out.
some ASMR for the audience.
Scroll
I will
it
take
on.
the multiple choice.
Okay. So your options are A, 40, B, 33, C, 49, or D, 44. Okay. Ben, what was your answer?
36.
Oh no, I did 33.
You're both wrong.
Yeah.
It's 44.
It is 44. Holy.
Yeah.
So I think 36 is when I last touched it. So it's bananas to me
Got
that
it.
they continued to add characters to that game.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were into Street Fighter.
So Street Fighter 4 is the only Street Fighter I'm not into, unfortunately.
So the only Street Fighter I've really truly played would be Turbo 2.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you said you had played 4.
No, I've played it like once or twice
okay.
with Chris, but I
Right.
haven't really played. I like literally just adopted Balrog because he was a character historically, you know what I mean, from before, and just like played it for like an hour, but I haven't really played it.
2 is good. I'm always really happy to meet people who still can stomach like that super classic 2 experience, regardless of which SKU it was.
Right, there's so many variations.
Yeah.
of it.
But I feel like most of the people that care about Street Fighter at our age, they definitely grew up on 2. Actually, I think you're like 15 years younger than me, so I don't know if I should say that. So,
But my brother's 8 years older than me, so that's
Okay,
So I
yeah,
had that
yeah.
exposure
Got
at an
it.
age to fighting games.
yeah, for sure.
So
That's good.
You're a 28, almost 29 or 29?
Just turned 29.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 35, just so we're all being open about. Yeah.
And my
24.
brother's my brother's your age.
Okay, got it.
So-
Yeah, see, that makes a ton of sense. I
Yes.
think if you get ushered into those really old, crusty experiences, that makes them easier to metabolize.
Okay, our next question is, and this is going to be a slam dunk for Ben. This is a guaranteed point.
Thanks.
What developer is responsible for the God of War games?
Jesus Christ.
He doesn't even have to write it down because I already know he knows the answer. If you need multiple choice, I can give you multiple choice. Okay. Your choices are A, Sony San Diego, B, Sony Santa Monica, C, Sucker Punch Productions, or D, Sony San Mateo. You think you got it?
I got to go with B.
Ben?
Was B San Diego?
Santa Monica.
Santa Monica. Yeah. Okay. That's a good question because you added like 3 arbitrary California cities into there. It's Sony Santa Monica.
Yep.
Yeah.
The only reason why I got that was because of your
It came up earlier in the conversation.
I'm like, there's no way I'm getting this. Thank you, by the way.
Right. Oh, man. If I'd have known that was going to be like a trivia.
Cool,
I was like biting my lip when you were talking about it. I was like, oh, shit.
That's why?
Just gave away the answer.
And you didn't make any changes?
No.
Integrity right there.
Yeah. Good. So that's 15 points for
Fucking
me.
piece of shit.
It's 3-2. It's pretty close.
Setting me up for a failure over here. What the fuck is this?
Okay, the next one. Developer Supermassive Games released a PS4 exclusive horror game that featured a choice-based storyline where different characters would die by the end of the game based on your choices. What was the name of the game?
I 100% know which game you're talking about, but
you don't
forget
know
the
the
name,
name.
so I'll take the multiple choice.
Multiple choice?
Same.
Your answers are A, Until Dawn, B, Outlast 2, C, Dying Light, or D, Dead Island 2. If you want one or the other,
Say the first 2 again.
A was Until Dawn and B is Outlast 2.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay. Alex, do you want me to go down to one or the other? Or do you want to take a shot?
I'll take a shot.
You have an answer?
Yeah.
What do you think it is, Ben?
My guess is Until Dawn.
Alex?
My guess is B.
B was Outlast?
Yeah.
It is Until Dawn.
Damn.
Because if I recall, it was like a bunch of kids in like a cabin at night situation, and you're trying to experience the narrative that occurs before the sun comes up. Yeah. Cool. I kept hearing all kinds of really cool things about it.
I have not played it, but I have watched it played through from start to finish 3 different times.
Apparently, it's awesome.
It's amazing. The facial animation is really good.
Yeah, super character focused.
The animation in general is very good. The cutscenes, the way it flows, because there's a lot of like quick time event style situations, and the way they implemented quick time events were like actually interesting because you can mess up and keep going.
And
it would
really
react. So each quick time event is itself like a tree, like an animation tree.
Yep.
And so if you fail like too many, you die.
Yep.
But if you get enough, you'll get through. Or if you get like a lot, you'll get through, and maybe it'll have like a special thing. And so that can also affect, like, I know there's one sequence where if you do it well enough, you save a character, and if you don't, they die before you can get there.
Oh, sure.
So there's stuff like that too.
The interesting thing about that game was I kept hearing about it from people I know that do not normally play games. And I thought that was really remarkable. Is, they'd be like, well, it started because someone in my household was playing it, but then they got obsessed and then started playing it. And they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I was really impressed by how sticky it seemed to be for people that are not traditional gamers.
And the thing is, you really don't have to play games to do it well, because it's mostly reaction time.
Good for them. Yeah, I keep meaning to check it out.
And yeah, it's very cool. I think it was definitely a commercial success.
Yeah, I hope so.
And it was a AAA title.
You said it was Sucker Punch?
No, it was Supermassive.
Oh, Supermassive, right.
And published by Sony.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm not sure. Is Supermassive owned by Sony?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's likely.
Yeah,
given
right.
the state of the industry. Okay, so the next one is a guess as many as you can question.
Okay.
Name as many of EA Dice's games released after EA acquired them.
Did you say slightly slanted?
What?
In his favor?
I'm not doing good on
this
this
isn't
one.
Slanted in his favor at all. It's not slanted in either. Your favors.
I'm in trouble right now.
I think you're going to put down 2, and I'm going to put down 0.
Okay, so so it's released after EA acquired them, but they aren't Battlefield games. And there are 6.
What the?
I
Literally no idea.
I think I've got like one, maybe.
What was the question again?
How many, or guess as many, or name as many of EA Dice's games released after EA acquired them that aren't Battlefield games? And if you really need it, EA acquired them in 2004.
Nope, I just got
Or
one.
2006.
I just got the one.
Just the one?
Mm-hmm.
We can't multiple choice this.
Nope. Just guess as many as you can. It'll be way too hard to multiple choice this.
I know one or two, but they're just buried deep in my sewer
Here,
brain.
I'll give you a couple of hints. I think that's fair. Two of these are the same franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Two of these are the same franchise, and another two of them are also the same franchise.
Oh, I guess I can add the sequel. Yeah.
And then the other two are existing franchises that they did not develop, but they are sequels.
Right. Okay, I have two if we can include sequels. So
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I'm right. I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Shit.
I have a hint I could give Alex that would only make sense to him because he knows me, which I almost feel like I need to do to be fair. It includes a game that I really enjoy.
I put that down.
Okay.
I just don't know the sequel.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I'm jotted down. I don't got anything else.
Okay. What do you got, Alex?
Mirror's Edge.
Okay.
But I put Mirror's sequel.
Yeah. That's all I have is Mirror's Edge 1 and 2.
I'll give you guys both 2 points for that.
Okay, so I need to know what the other ones were because I know they're in my mind somewhere.
So obviously there's Mirror's Edge and Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
That's right. Okay. That's what's.
And then there's Need for Speed Hot Pursuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know those games.
And there's Medal of Honor. They did the multiplayer only.
Yeah,
on
right.
Medal of Honor.
Right.
Another studio, I think, I'm forgetting their name, but another studio did the single player.
Okay, yeah.
For some reason, I want to say it's the Dead Space studio, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
And then there's Star Wars Battlefront 1 and 2.
Ah, of course. Mm-hmm.
And that's the 6th.
Yeah, got it. Oh, man. Yeah.
That was tough.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay, and the next one is another guess as many as you can. Name as many of the major PC digital distribution platforms.
Yeah, this is hugely in my favor.
Well, Alex managed to win the blind movie guessing game of horror movies against a guy whose podcast is literally about horror movies, so I felt like I needed to be
You need to
a
challenge
little more
me a little more.
even-handed this time because I slanted it heavily in Alex's favor. Technically I just spoiled that. I'll probably take that out.
Say the question again just to be safe because I might have to demarcate here.
Name as many of the major PC digital distribution platforms.
PC. Okay, good. Got it.
And there's 6 again that I chose. It's kind of arbitrary, but I think these are widely accepted as the major ones. You might actually have other ones that I didn't put in here. Alex, I know you know one of them for sure.
Fuck, dude.
I'll give you an additional hint. 2 of them are publisher specific. One of them is very recent. And one you definitely know, and the other 2 are ones you definitely don't know.
Oh no. So I can't win this, even if I had the others.
Well, the last question is 11 points. And
I'm already down by 3 going on 6, right?
well,
What?
You're down by 3 at the moment.
That's what I'm saying. 3 going on 6.
And it could turn into more.
Thanks.
All right, I've
I'm good
got
at one
5.
thing.
Got
I've
5.
got 5.
Oh my God.
But I think one is kind of a reach. And
Okay.
then the other 2 that I might be forgetting, it's because they've never been relevant to me for some reason. So I'm curious what ones I'm forgetting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
I can't think of it.
What do you got, Alex?
Just Steam.
Okay.
But I can't think of. Is one of them the Rock?
Rock?
That's not it. Who made the Arkham games? Do they
Rocksteady?
do they make a bunch of other games too, or no?
No.
They don't? Okay,
they're
cool.
not on the list.
All right.
So Steam, Origin, Epic Game Store, Good Old Games, and then Ubisoft actually had their own distribution platform as well. That one's a reach because I don't know if that one still exists or not.
Do you know what the name is?
Oh, did it have a specific name?
Yes, it does.
Oh, no, I don't know what the specific name is. I'd only gotten it for like one game and then never opened it ever again.
Okay, so you said Epic Games, Steam,
Origin, which is
and
EA's.
Good Old Games?
Yeah, and Good Old Games.
Okay, those are all correct.
Okay.
And then one more.
Ubisoft is called Uplay.
Uplay, I knew that.
And then the last one is Green Man Gaming.
Oh, Green Man. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Damn, I should have known Origin. Those are the only two, though.
Yeah. Like both of those publisher portals, though, like no one was happy about those things.
Right.
You know?
They're whatever.
Right. Yeah.
They're really not bad, and they're not great.
No, they're not. They're fine. But
They're totally whatever.
Yeah.
And I support it on the principle that there should be competition
Absolutely.
in the market.
Yes.
All right, the next one. What was the highest prize pool in esports history? This is multiple choice.
Esports.
I knew what it was about 3 years ago, so I'm guessing it's weirdly higher now.
The problem with this is 11 points.
No, this one's 3 points. There's one more question after this.
I see.
So from a single event?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to put two things down, the thing I can think of, and then what I think that eventually became.
Okay, he's going for it. He's going to take a risk.
Okay, then I'll do multiple choice.
Okay. A, 25 million. B, 28 million. C, 34 million. Or D, 36 million.
Wait, say those again? Those are way higher than I thought.
25 million, 28 million, 34 million, and 36 million.
So now if you change yours,
No,
at best
he's
it's
already
two.
written it down.
This is
he's
from
already
a-
written down.
This is from
He's committed.
He can't go down to 2.
Nope.
I wrote, mine are definitely wrong. I was way under in like a really insane way. I had no idea it'd gotten that high. So the one that I can think of,
I'll tell you what it is too.
I'm gonna go 28.
28.
Yeah.
Final answer.
Yeah.
It's 34.
Good Lord. Okay.
And that was the International 2019.
God damn.
It was the International. Okay. My guess was from the International 2016, which is the last International I was watching while I was still playing Dota. That was 6 million. And that was a huge deal.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It went from 6
told me about
million
this.
to 18 million the next year to 22 to 25 to 34.
Oh my God.
22.
That's
Yeah,
so
I think
insane.
you had mentioned, because I had in my mind 5 million, and then I remember, I think it was either last year or the year before, I remember you throwing around 23 million. That amount.
Yeah.
So I was looking for that in the multiple
That
choice.
was the year EG won the tournament.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
And
If
that
you had
was
said
the-
23, I just would have gone for that
That
one.
was the $6 million Echo
The
Slam.
$6 million Echo Slam. Yep. I remember that.
man.
I was watching it live.
I watched. I don't think I watched it live. I think I watched it after the fact. But I was
Yeah.
like up, like literally standing up, like cheering.
It was
when that
incredible.
happened.
It
I
was
like,
incredible.
yes.
But that $6 million pool was already so far beyond any other event at the time.
At the time, that dwarfed everything.
Yeah. And it was such a big part of the conversation. Like, wow, 6 million. What's it going to be next year? 8 million?
Yeah,
And apparently
it's
it jumped
18.
up.
Just multiply by 3.
That's so insane. If I recall, and it's been a few years since I've played Dota because I had a very abusive relationship with Dota.
Same.
If I recall, the structure is still, or the structure was, everyone's like in-game purchases are being funneled into the prize pool, right?
Yes.
Okay, so is that still the system?
Valve puts in the first like 1.6 or something, and then 25% of all compendium purchases and other TI related in-game purchases
Right.
go into the prize pool.
That's incredible because not only is it the same system, it's a good system that keeps scaling up in like extremely non-trivial ways. That's incredible.
I'm wondering what the cap is going to be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's pretty it's nuts.
30. You said 36 million?
34.
34. Good gravy.
It's like 34.3.
Yeah. Incredible. Who won this year?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't actually
either.
think I watched it.
I had to avoid it. If I start watching it, I just get glued to it.
It's kind of the same way. I enjoy watching it much more than I enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
What was choice D?
D was 36, I believe.
36. Okay.
What was the tricky way too high answer? It was like 48.
No. They were all pretty close. 25, 28, 34.
No, because
36.
this question and the Street Fighter question were kind of similar.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Because he had D being barely higher than the right choice. That's why I asked.
Yeah. That's funny.
Fucking bitch.
Okay, so this last one's going to be a doozy. I honestly don't
doozy.
Yeah,
I don't know how many points either of you are going to get on this one.
Let's get wild.
Name as many of the Assassin's Creed games and their time period.
Got it. I'm on it. I love Assassin's Creed. You're busted, buddy.
Oh, shit. I wasn't sure if you were that into the series or not.
Does it matter? You know I wasn't.
I thought you might have learned a few things over the years.
I've only bought fighting games and I stopped at age 14.
See, we're in trouble right now
Dude, I haven't bought a game in 15 years.
Because you guys are about to get a whole lecture on the intricate.
All right, I'm going to place my clipboard down. Just wait to.
I'm only counting the major releases. I'm not counting like the small.
Yeah,
if you can name those, like that's incredible. But I have 11 of the major releases.
Jesus.
There are like another like 8 mobile games.
I actually have a cap. I stopped playing at a certain point. So
yeah, I stopped playing it as well. But I'll give you a point if you can just guess the time periods.
Yeah, I can guess the time periods.
Well, for Alex specifically,
like
I gotta get
regarding gameplay.
Yeah, because the Assassin's Creed games, they take place in history.
Yep.
Recreation of history. So if you can guess the time periods, I'll give you points for those, even if you don't know the title.
Let's see.
And a few of these, by the way, use the same time period.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I honestly didn't think Ben was that into Assassin's Creed, so I thought this might be remotely
super
fair.
into Assassin's Creed for quite a long time.
Oh wow!
And really just got fatigued.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I was a day one guy for a long time. You know what I mean? Just like as soon as one was out, and then just the frequency got a little too high for me. And
yes, Assassin's Creed is the poster child for yearly releases ruining a series.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They actually skipped a year between two of them.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and being like, I wish he just maintained that.
And yet it still wasn't markedly that much better.
Okay, I think I'm all good. I'm going to write like a histogram here.
A diagram of all the time periods.
Yeah.
Do you have all 11?
I don't have all 11.
Okay.
I think I have the major chunks for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
How you doing over there, Alex?
This fucking sucks.
I mean, I knew this was going to be slanted, but it turned out being a lot more slanted than I
thought. I can't take you seriously. You pissed that I won the last one and I shouldn't have.
Vengeance.
I know.
Quiz vengeance.
All right.
I want to make sure Ben wants to come back, though.
Trust me. I gathered that very early on.
All right, you have an idea?
Okay, yeah. So I put Dark Ages, Renaissance twice, 1600s for like colonial expansion / trade invasion, like essentially the
hold on.
prevalence of pirates.
What was the first one you said?
Dark Ages.
Dark Ages. Okay.
And a Renaissance I put twice.
When you say Dark Ages, what do you mean by Dark Ages?
I'm talking like we're gonna say late 1100s to late / early 1300s, late 1200s, early 1300s, pre-Renaissance. Renaissance, I think, isn't it like late 1300s, like through 1400s, and then Renaissance twice. And
All right, I'll count it. It's close enough.
And it's 1600s. Just
Renaissance
because
twice.
I think I've seen a commercial of like a pirate, so I'm like, oh, okay, like
okay, 1600s. Is
and then I put
not quite right. But.
Fuck, and then I put like the birth of America / like Revolutionary War 1700s.
Okay,
so I think I've seen like a musket. That's it. That's straight up. That's what I put.
Okay.
Did I get like 3 points?
Wait, you said 1600s, right?
Yeah, and 1700s.
When was the French Revolution?
I don't know.
French Revolution was
1790s, right? It's post-American Civil or Revolutionary War?
Yeah, I thought so.
Everything I know about history is from the Assassin's Creed games, so...
Okay,
this is a huge problem.
It sounds like you've got 4.
Well, he got me beat.
Yeah. Okay, Ben, give us a masterclass.
So I know that one was Middle East. If I recall, it was like in the 1000s, like that century.
Fuck.
Because that seems too late because you still had like Damascus and you still had oh my God, it's been such a long time. You had like 5
Crusade.
Biblical cities. Okay, roughly when was that?
Which is mid 1100s.
Okay, yeah, you were actually right.
So I was closer.
Yeah,
I gave him a point for it.
Mm-hmm, cool. There was actually 3 in Italy that started Ezio. That was Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, and then I don't actually remember the name of the third one, but I still played the crap out of it. Those were all like Renaissance era.
Okay, that's 2 points then.
Okay, and then Assassin's Creed 3 was Colonial America for sure.
Okay,
like during pre-revolution or during revolution.
It's probably 1700s.
Which one do you think it is?
Oh, you're being.
I don't recall because that's kind of when I started to fall off. So I'm gonna guess.
Just pick one or the other.
During the revolution.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Because I believe it opened once you were past like the tutorial with the indigenous character, like talk of revolution and all that garbage.
Yep,
so
that's right at the beginning and through it. And George Washington was a major character.
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't get to that, but I feel like I heard
and
that.
John Adams was also a major character.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently they were like bad guys. They were like Templars, and there's like a big twist that they're these like sinister bad
Oh yeah, I think George Washington was.
Okay. Oh yeah. So yeah, some of them were, some of them weren't. I believe all of the 4 games were Black Flag, the series of that was like, which I want to say was Caribbean, like Caribbean 1800s. No, 1800s is way too late. 1700s. But I know those were the pirate games.
Okay, yeah.
I almost
So the pirate
played
games
those.
were in the 1700s.
No, I
Yes.
know. Don't
Fuck, I
They
thought they were
were
in the
okay.
1600s.
That was my guess. 1700s.
Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
Black Flag. There was a couple of those, weren't they? Like or at least an expansion.
Yeah, there's one more.
Okay, cool. Black Flag. What was the other Black Flag?
Did you not have it written down?
No, I don't have. I don't know.
The other one is Rogue.
Oh,
Assassin's
see,
Creed Rogue.
that doesn't sound familiar at all.
And it's
Was that a
it's-
mobile game?
No, it was console
Okay.
release. Actually came out at the same time as the other title that year.
Was that the one that had the It was the female character, the African American wouldn't have been okay. I'm thinking.
No, I
of
didn't
one of
count
the
that
weird
as one of
mobile
them.
games.
It's not all ship based Rogue. It actually might not even be ship based at all.
Okay,
but it
sure.
is the same time frame.
The next one after that was Syndicate, which took place in London. I don't remember the time period though. I want to say late 1800s.
Okay, yeah, it's Victorian England.
Okay, cool. And then the 5th one was the Greek one. I don't remember the name of it, like the ancient Greek one, which
You don't remember the name of it though.
I sure don't.
Okay,
No.
But what if he gets to the time period?
The time period would have been.
you got the handicap of just having the time period.
Got it.
He's got to know both.
Oh, the names. Oh no, I don't know the names of any of them. I know that there was the Greek one, and then the Egyptian one was after that.
I knew there was an Egyptian one.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Right. And I don't remember the names because it's like the names were never meaningful. I would look at the setting, get really hype about the setting, and then the name just kind of would fall out of my brain. So,
Okay, so
I remember
that's-
all these games, but didn't play most of them after 3.
Okay, so that's 5 points. They were Assassin's Creed the original and the Third Crusade, Assassin's Creed 2 in the Renaissance, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood also in the Renaissance, and Assassin's Creed Revelations. Also in the Renaissance.
Revelations, yep. That
Then there
ended up in the
was-
Vatican. I remember that was dope.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was those 2 through Revelations were the height
Yeah,
of the series.
they were super good.
Assassin's Creed 3 is set in the American Revolution. Assassin's Creed 4 is pirates,
Yep.
1700s. Rogue is similar time frame. I say it's pre-American Revolution, so
Okay, yeah.
1700s. Unity was the next one, which was the French Revolution.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
And then Syndicate was the one after that in Victorian England.
Yep.
And then Origins in ancient Egypt.
Origins.
And then Odyssey in ancient Greece.
Yeah, I knew all those words.
Yeah.
I've heard those words before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the whole series.
My younger
That's
brother.
a big expense.
Yeah, my younger brother got super into Origins, and every time he talked about it, like, it was very, very tempting for me to get back into it. But
Origins is an RPGification of the game.
sure, which I'm totally cool with, as long as you're still running and jumping, right?
I'm not actually okay with it, but
Okay,
You think it takes away from the core
think
mechanics?
so.
I'm curious enough about it that I would try it. The problem with all Ubisoft games that take this form is that if I'm curious about it in a moment where I have things going on in my life, I can't start playing them because I will compulsively fall into them, find all the things, do all the things, see all the places, and then before I know it, like, I've miss some appointments. Like, that's the kind of flow that I get into whenever I'm presented with a system like that. So
that's very fair.
So I've had these temptations for most of these games after 3, but it's just the timing's never been good, which is better for life. Right.
Yep. I pretty much stopped playing after 4.
Yeah.
I have the later ones that I haven't played.
Yeah.
I bought them on sale for like $7 a pop.
Ooh.
I don't have any plans to play Origins.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of the RPG version. I think I inherently I don't really like having to like level up your weapons. It just feels very cartoonish.
Okay,
to me.
sure, right.
But especially with Assassin's Creed, which is like a serious setting.
Yeah.
And also one of the things that really annoyed me is they just totally threw away all the modern context
Sure.
of the games. They like the story just became nonsense.
Yeah.
Like it literally doesn't. There's no connections anymore. It just
It used to
doesn't-
be almost
it's not
like
important.
almost like realistic fillers for historical gaps, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Like where it was like on like borderline.
Not
like,
only that, but there was this whole modern context,
Right.
where you're playing modern characters in the modern age, and they're going back and reliving genetic memories, bullshit, but whatever.
Yeah.
It was cool enough as a premise to work, and so they exist in the modern age, and they're trying to like stop a conspiracy in the modern age based on learnings of genetic memory in the past.
And are you saying they just kind of abandoned that at some point?
Totally abandoned it.
Interesting.
After 4, there was still a modern context. I never
Right.
finished it, so I don't know what the culmination of that
Right.
was. But 3 was the last. That was the end of the Desmond. He
Desmond,
died
right?
in 3. 3 was really good. I actually really liked that one.
Yeah. It took a long time to get cooking.
It
Is
was
what I
kind of-
kept being told.
It was kind of buggy sometimes too.
Sure.
It was actually a massive leap
Yeah.
because they added outdoor areas
Yeah.
and parkour through forests,
Yeah, that's right.
which was like really cool. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it, these are meticulously designed forests.
Right. I might have a couple insights here. I know that franchise, which is obviously enormous, it has gone through a couple major leadership changes, and it did early on too.
Yes.
And like that's obviously going to influence the direction things take. But also, I know that from conversations with other game developers that have worked on like established franchises for a really long time, you kind of have to change things, or else you're risking the sensation of like the gamer feels like they're playing the same thing, even though it's all new content. And so it's almost kind of a joke with these veteran senior designers who have to maintain these franchises for so long. It's like, it doesn't matter how we change this. We just have to change it in any way. Just pick any arbitrary way to make this design different so that people feel like, because even those gamers sitting there kind of upset about a change, but they still bought it and played it. That's what you're trying to maintain.
Yeah.
Which is really cynical and shitty, but that is a business reality of franchises. Like, it doesn't matter, do anything. Okay, cool, they bought it. We're good. That's the end of the thought process.
And weirdly enough, I would consider buying Odyssey
Sure, yeah.
because the theme is really cool.
Yeah.
Ancient Greece is. I love ancient Greece.
Yeah, totally.
Like I'm just really into it.
Yeah. And I feel the same way about Ancient Egypt. Like that was the one that was really nibbling on me the hardest because I just wanted to like run up pyramids and stuff.
I mean, I like it in theory, but also like you lose so much of what has built Assassin's Creed because you don't have like cities.
Yeah.
You know, you have like little river towns and
that's a big feel change.
Yeah, so it's a big change, not just in how it's all RPG.
Yeah.
But also the feel of the game is a lot different. I know they have some sense of a city.
Right.
I think it kind of goes back to like Assassin's Creed 1 feeling a little bit.
Yeah, right.
But I just remember watching it and being like, yeah, that's cool, but I just don't really feel like I would probably ever play this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So what were the results, by the way? Like,
I was going to say.
Well,
Yeah.
it sounds
what
like
do you
he was
think?
up by 7.
What do you think it was?
He won by 7.
7?
That's correct. It was 9-16.
I'm okay at one thing.
Hey, put it there.
Right here.
Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
I do not feel like I was in control of that trivia segment.
I feel like you were.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, am I losing touch with my own memory
Well,
base?
I mean, you got 16 out of a potential 35.
Right.
So it's not like you aced the quiz per se. You just totally bombed it, Alex.
That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's okay.
You also gave me a handicap, and it was still by a large margin. Realistically, it should have been.
I think it should have been like 5?
16 to 5 for that.
Yeah. So I think I basically doubled your score with handicaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the trivia
and the
isn't-
handicap you gave me literally was for the highest value.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if the trivia isn't video games or the video game industry, I tank. I don't know anything at all. So like I'm in my element too, and I still did like half.
Yeah.
No, it was still fun.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
I love to play video games if they're like in front of me and other people are playing them. Like I'll join.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
I don't.
Okay, wait. Bonus round. And I know you might actually know some of these.
Wait, what?
Name as many of the Rainbow Six Siege characters as you can.
Oh, dude. I don't fucking
Come on. You know some of these.
I know
man.
some of their weapons because I've watched you.
See, this is one of those funny things because one of my little brothers plays it, and I tried it when it came out. I know all of these characters' names, but they've completely faded into the back of my
Okay,
Yeah.
if you can recall their gadget, I'll count that as well.
Oh, there's one called Gadget, I'm pretty sure. There's like a female character named Gadget.
I don't think so.
I could also like, you know what's more fun is like making up some Siege names like Hammer and Rivet Gun and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so
I think there's like
Yeah, you got
30
this one.
some now.
no, I'm thinking. So there's the like shaving cream bomb weapon that you can throw at walls. You've got the electronic control where you can essentially take over like enemy signals. There's the like a ram shield, right? The shield you can blitz. Like what's the guy's name? Isn't his name Ram?
Probably.
What the fuck's his name, Miller?
No, there are.
There's a guy that has
shield
the
characters.
big. Yeah, he has a giant.
The
Big
Riot
shield?
Shield, yeah.
Yeah, the riot shield or whatever. Yeah, the big one. Then there's the guy that you like, who he essentially has like a visor attached to his like sniper rifle.
And his name's
A
Clutch.
visor attached. Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's your character. I mean,
That's one of them. Yeah.
I mean, he's
Now,
a,
does
I haven't played in a minute,
does
but
one
yeah.
specific character have the little RC car, or is that everyone?
no.
Everyone has
it.
That's
Okay, right,
that's
right.
on the offense.
Some of them have special ones though.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you've kind of like touched on a few of them. Ironically, Blitz is one,
Yeah, sounds right.
but he's not the shield one you're talking about. The one you're talking about is Montaigne.
oh, okay.
Blitz is the other shield one,
Oh.
who has the flashbang on the shield.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then the one with the gun shields is Blackbeard.
Oh, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Blackbeard.
They're all names that like young men in an organization would like give each other, right? Like your Blitz.
Yeah, fratty names.
Yeah.
And
That's
also-
like you shouldn't forget. But
Right.
Also, you said hammer, but it's actually sledge.
yes,
Yeah,
Sledge.
right. Yeah.
You're pretty
I
close.
oversimplified.
There's also Smoke, who's a poison gas operator, but he's an SAS guy, which
Okay.
always felt kind of weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, well, why is the British guy the one doing poison? That seems kind of thematically.
They've got a rich history with poison.
I'm sure they do. Yeah, and there's a lot. There's easily 30 on this list.
Yeah.
I think it's probably closer to 40. It might even be over 40.
Quite a bit of bonus potential, and I still dropped the ball.
If I understand, that is still a living game, right?
Yes, it is.
That's incredible.
You still play, Millen, or no?
No, not really.
Okay.
I think you're going to see more and more of this idea where you make a game, you establish it, and then you just maintain it for as long as people will play
And add
it.
content.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because if
Okay.
you can afford to do that, you might as well.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, we'll take a quick break again,
Sure.
and then we'll jump right into that topic because that's
Okay.
actually very topical.
Yeah, got it.
Wow, you've come really far in this episode. Considering how long you've been listening, you should probably consider subscribing and maybe even leaving us a rating on whatever platform you're listening on. I know. Everyone asks every episode, but I mean, come on. You've been listening to it for an hour. It's the least you could do, really. Now back to the episode. All right, and we are back. We're going to do a segment on some reactions to game trailers / little gameplay segments. Some stuff that was really particularly hype for me as in my early game design days. And then after that, we're going to finish with a discussion on sort of the state of the industry. We want to talk about what the pitching process is for pitching a game to a publisher, because Ben has just gone through that. And a few other things, and we'll wrap up after that. So I'm guessing another 30-ish minutes. So yeah, let's get started. The first trailer, for those who are watching, because you can't actually see the screen at all, is the Mirror's Edge Catalyst E3 2013 trailer.
That's really fascinating. I never saw that. Before that footage started, I noticed that it said this is in-game footage.
Frostbite, yeah.
Right. Which is pretty incredible because that looks fairly high-end lighting and high-end character models,
looks
etc.
phenomenal.
Right. But it looks like this was from 2013.
Yeah.
Did this not come out?
2016.
It did come out in 2016. Okay. I assume you played it.
Hell yes. Played over 100 hours.
Did it look like this? Did it look this good?
It's honestly pretty close.
Interesting. Okay.
There's more attention to detail in this trailer.
Sure.
I will say that some of the little things, like, you know, the mask shattering on the punch, they do keep that for a couple of the moves.
Right.
It's not quite the same fidelity, but
Right.
But they do keep the same thing, and I think pretty much the same sound effect.
Yeah.
The final game, so for context, Mirror's Edge is my favorite game of all time. The first one. I played a lot of it. It's just so good. It just totally captured my imagination. I had been waiting for so long for another Mirror's Edge game, and when this came out, I was so hyped when I watched this in the press conference.
So you waited for 3 years for this to come out, because I assume you saw this when it came out.
Yep.
Was the wait worth it?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm really glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that trailer is so interesting to me because the last 10 years of game promotion is filled with this is real in-game footage, and they're not necessarily lying, but they're promoting it on a super high-end computer for the time. Yeah. And
or even they're building a special segment for the trailer with higher fidelity assets than will actually be
exactly.
in the final game.
It's a very weird move where they're technically not lying, and that's why they do it.
Oh yeah.
But I asked if it looked like that because it's always fascinating to me when the expectations are sort of met, because I feel like that's uncommon.
Yeah, Ubisoft is particularly guilty of this.
Sure.
But I will say that the game, and for those listening, you should watch the trailer. It's really awesome.
It's very pretty.
The segments where she's getting tattooed, I'd say that is definitely doable in the engine.
Ssure.
They never do it in the game itself, obviously, because it's built specifically for this trailer.
Right.
But they do the same thing a lot of modern single player games do, where they have pre-rendered cutscenes in between gameplay segments. Except the pre-rendered cutscenes are not like it used to be. Like Blur Studio or whatever would create those cutscenes, and it's like straight up fully pre-rendered, like more of a movie VFX.
There's no restrictions in those situations.
In a game engine pipeline versus now, their pre-rendered segments are, I believe, rendered in the game engine.
Yeah,
with higher fidelity assets. On like ridiculously powerful rigs. So they look better than the gameplay, but they're actually kind of close.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is what he's saying. They're technically not lying.
Yeah. So I think the quality that you saw in the trailer is very similar to what you see in the cutscenes in the game. The one scene where she's running through the hallway and the glass is shattering and everything, that's actually pretty accurate to what the game looks like.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
But yeah, the actual like the character fidelity and stuff like that, that's the cutscene character fidelity.
Right. Yeah.
That they ultimately kept.
I get very happy when my peers aren't lying to you.
Yes.
So
It's
that's the theme of my questions right now.
I mean, I love the game.
Yeah, good.
It was kind of mixed in its reception. The first one critically was received very well.
Yeah.
But commercially was kind of like, eh. I think I'm guessing it probably basically broke even for EA.
Sure.
The second one, I think they lost money on it because I think they put more money into it and they didn't make much more than they made with the first one.
Right.
But critically, it wasn't received the same way. It was more mixed.
Yeah, that actually doesn't surprise me. I think things like Mirror's Edge are very much products of the moment that they get released in. I don't think Mirror's Edge was ever destined to be like a franchise. It's so novel and unique and beautiful and weird and wonderful, but you can't juice something like Mirror's Edge that is that distinctive an experience. I don't think it's not digestible enough for 10 million people to buy over and over and over again.
Yes.
And that's not me looking down on it. It's such a wonderful product.
I think it could have been a really phenomenal 3-game franchise trilogy targeted at an audience where they're like, we just need 1 million people to buy it.
Sure. Right.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And it's even targeted at like a $50 single player only experience, something like that. I think it would have been super successful at that.
Yeah.
And if it would have just been made when the first one came out.
Yeah, right.
And the next one came out 2 years later or 3 years later, and then the next one 2 years or 3 years after that.
Yeah.
It would have been successful in that cadence, I think.
Yeah.
Ultimately with Catalyst, they went with like an open world type setup.
Ah, sure.
Which was
I can't imagine it felt the same.
Here's the thing is there's a lot of promise in the open world concept with Mirror's Edge, because one of the best parts of Mirror's Edge is its world design.
Yeah.
Not only the art direction itself, which is phenomenal, but the way the world is constructed.
Right.
And all the background and all the story that goes into it and how it's represented in the art direction. It's just it's some of the best executed world design, in my opinion, in modern gaming history.
Sure.
So the open world concept, I think, could have been really special, but it just wasn't executed in the way it should have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it kind of it didn't feel special in the way it could have felt. But it's also like, in order for it to have felt that special, I think it would have needed to have the kind of budget that would have needed 10 million people
Exactly.
to buy it.
Yeah, right.
Whereas I think where they landed was the budget where we need 5 million to buy it, maybe.
Right.
Or like 4 or 5. And that would have been break even profitable.
See, that kind of what you're describing is breaking my heart, because there are some things that you don't want to sort of peel open and make into a bigger thing, because at that point you're giving people more room to be disappointed. And I think that's a big pitfall in game design, where you're taking this thing that is already so good and so strong, and instead of just building on top of it so that it becomes more interesting or becomes stronger, you do this thing where you just rip it open and you spread it out thin on top of the surface of the experience. And when you say, I'm looking at this open world and it's so exciting, but then once you're actually in it, it's kind of disappointing. That's like a super classic problem in game design that breaks my heart all the time. Like imagine something like Gears of War getting opened up into an open world. Like, what are you going to do with that? That's not what the game is about. That's not, you're just now giving me more space to be sad about something that was exploded inside my mind. And of course it can't be that way.
It can't,
right? Yeah.
And what's amazing is the first game, I think, sold 2.5 million copies, something like that.
Sure.
Over its, first 3-4 years, whatever. And it had, in my opinion, it had a very loyal fan base.
It definitely did.
Like, the people who actually bought the game loved it.
Yes.
And they would have absolutely bought another one.
Yeah.
100%. And I think they pretty much got like an 80 to 90% conversion rate on those fans for the sequel.
I can see that.
Well, reboot. It's not even really a sequel. But that they couldn't capture further audience.
Yeah.
And because it was so far later, actually that 80% might even be ambitious. It might not even be that high, because it was 8 years later.
Right.
So they're almost setting themselves up for failure.
Yes, they are. If you create something that has a cult following, you are so fortunate. You are so lucky. You just maintained the cult following. The fact that you have a cult following in the first place means that you made something weird but beautiful, and your job is to take care of the people that showed up. But because it's a business and because it's games and because there are publishers involved, their natural thought is, how do we multiply these people? And you don't. You sell to them over and over and over again. You continue to probe those people and say, what do you love about Mirror's Edge? Tell me exactly what, so I can keep giving that to you while it still feels fun.
Exactly.
And that's what they should have. That's what a lot of franchises should have done throughout their history.
Yeah.
But they're influenced by the people upstairs doing their jobs and saying, we need to make this a bigger audience. We need to scale. We need to grow, blah, 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 blah. And that's incorrect.
And then if you really want to, you take the margins from your cult following and you build a new cult following.
Sure. Yeah.
And you do it again with another franchise.
Yep.
One of my life goals is to build a spiritual successor to Mirror's Edge.
Sure. Yeah.
That achieves the promise of the series at a scope that is reasonable and is in line with what the series is about.
Yep.
Like a really high quality story.
Yeah.
With really high quality characters that really leans into the world design with a semi-open level design.
Yeah.
Not open world, but like Tomb Raider style.
Yeah, right.
Semi-open level design.
Yeah.
8-hour campaign, $50. You got like 1 million built-in customers there.
Yep,
Like,
exactly. They should have asked you.
It's criminal.
Yeah,
that
they should have walked right into the cult and said, "What do you guys want from the next game in this series?" instead of trying to go wild. But yeah, everything you just said, it's like that is a very common fantasy you have of someone inside the cult following who's sitting there sad going, they should have just done this. This could have been simple. We would have been happy. They would have gotten paid. So yeah, like I would wager that most gamers you've ever met actually have a similar fantasy where they loved this thing, it mutated, and they just wish it could have slightly evolved to the left instead of becoming this grossly different. Yeah, absolutely.
I think if you take my vision, you could make that with 10 million.
Sure.
Right. And that's in that budget range where if you got 1 million customers, you're set.
Yeah.
Like that's a profitable 1 million customers.
Yeah. Which no huge publisher sees it that way, unfortunately. It's such a bummer. They're like, this thing made some money. How do we juice all of every single last money nutrient out of it, which is such a bummer. You guys know. You guys already know this stuff.
Yeah.
So does everyone listening.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop being sad.
So speaking of the whole Ubisoft conversation, this is a clip from the Watch Dogs reveal.
Yeah, I remember this.
E3.
Yep.
Again, this is a situation where the game did not quite live up to the reveal.
Yeah, right.
I'm actually going to cut this episode a little early. We ended up going longer than we anticipated, and we'll be releasing the second part of the episode as a bonus episode after the season finishes airing. But if you're interested in hearing it sooner, you can email spyfiofficial@gmail.com and we'll find a way to get it to you. And as always, thank you for listening to this episode, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe consider rating or subscribing on whatever platform you might be listening on right now. It really helps us a lot, it makes a big difference. And if you haven't yet, please head on over to YouTube and search for SpyFi to check out my new vlog that I just posted today. We'll see you next week.